Okay, so I thought about it for a minute. I think we'll do, I want this to be kind of like a back to the basics. I'm going to skip a waterfall for this time around. And when I do waterfalls, I like doing them sometimes on the back cover because it is a little more sturdy. So let's do a flap. Now, talking about the first page that we did, these pockets, you can make them as big as you want. This is a very high pocket. It also allows you to put something else here, like you don't want a flap here because you have this one, but you could put a photo mat there. You could put another little pocket there. You could put a slider there, which we may do. But let's do a couple flaps. Let's do a flap that opens to the left and then one that opens to the right. Now, the key to a flap that opens to the right is that it can't be too long because it's going to run into here. And you always want your right flap under your left flap, so when you close your book, that right flap doesn't get stuck over here. So if you're using a right flap, I recommend that you either use a magnet to close it or that you put a left flap over it so that it can hold that shut when you close your book. Okay? And I can definitely like show you what I mean. I want to say, let's use I think I want to put another pocket down here before. No. Maybe. No. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's put the flaps on here, but let's make the flaps like a 6-inch wide so that we don't have to use the big paper on both. You know what I mean? So we're going to go no more than 6 inches here. And my widest and these will be fine. So these are my widest straps, but what we'll do is we'll use some of these other scraps here to make the hinges for those so that we can use the full piece of this. So let's go ahead and cut this at 6 inches, which will give us both of our flaps. And I'm going to do it twice so that I can do both pages. There's 2 for 6 inches, 2 at 6 inches, and these are measuring 4.5. Okay, so I need 4 6-inch by 1-inch strips. Again, these are my scraps. Should be enough for 1 at least. I have these 2. So let's do and these are going to be a little shorter because my ruler thing doesn't measure 1 inch. It's a little short, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're just making gussets. Gussets? Hinges? Hinges. Look, these are already at, oh, those are a little short. Let's see here. 6 inches. And I could have cut these at 6 1/8 inches. So that I could have cut these at 6 1/8 so that I wouldn't have to cut down the 6x6 paper, but I could get 2 out of one piece of paper is why I chose not to. Okay, and then with these gussets or hinges that we're making, you just score on the 1/2 inch mark. And again, mine aren't perfectly 1 inch, they're a little short, but it doesn't matter. Okay, here we go. That's all that takes. Now, if you want to be sure that your hinges don't show, you can take and snip off the edges, kind of like what we did on the big hidden hinge, but for different reasons. Okay, here, and then score tape on the outside. Or you can glue it, doesn't matter. There we go. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean by having your flap coming on the right. Okay, so when you have these, when you're doing it this way, super easy. You can do pockets the same way. If you don't have a piece of paper big enough to put the hinges on, you can do it this way. Okay, now I'm going to butt this right up against this edge here. And you want to put the flaps on before you mat the paper so that you don't see your hinge on the inside. The only time that doesn't apply is if you are putting it in the middle of the page, because then you really can't help it unless you cut a slit. And slide it in. Okay, so there's your hinge, and you put your flap right along that hinge. Or you can put the hinge on the flap first, doesn't matter. Okay, I think I cut my hinge just a little too long. There's some peeking out there. Take care of that. It doesn't matter on this side because you won't see it. There we go. All better. Okay, so what I was talking about with always using something to cover this up is because when you close your page, if it's not down like that, you hit your other page. If you have like things sitting in your pocket in here, it could get caught. If you're kind of bulky, you're just going to hit the page next to it. So I like to either use a magnet or a closure to put that down, or like what I'm going to do here is just put another like pocket or flap over it coming from this side. This time I think I'm going to make sure it fits. I don't know why it didn't fit on that one. Maybe my paper's a little shorter than I thought it was. Yeah, I got 2 different sizes here. I must take a 1/4 inch off of that, so these are going to be the short ones, and then the other ones will just be a little bit longer, which is fine. Okay, so this one I'll just put here. This is me putting it on the paper first. Doesn't really matter which way you do it, the result is the same. Also, if you want to punch your corners, probably be a good time to do it before you actually put them on there. I'm gonna have to like look at this. I have punched stuff coming out of this for paper I haven't used in 6 months. So there's a reservoir in here that I am missing. Let's see here. I don't see anything in there. I don't know. Not that big of a deal. I just keep wiping it up. Okay, so there's those 2. Oh, I'll put this one on. Let's go ahead and stub punch it. Stub. You can also use a corner rounder, any decorative punch that you want. I'm going to take this off. And you can line this up with the page here, but don't go past the page. Like, don't go into the hinge, because that will screw up your book, for lack of better terms there. Alright, so now when you close, that may want to come up, but because this is here, it won't get stuck on anything. Okay, I'll do the other side real quick, or the other page. That is this one. That one's good. And that one's long. Oh, why? Okay. Try and set stuff aside so you guys can see what I'm doing. Sometimes with the black on black, it's hard to tell, but I just like the way it looks. I love a black base. I haven't found a paper collection that didn't look good with a black base. I think I will continue just to do one page at a time. Like this. And I'm not afraid of running out of paper, like, at all. So, and if I do, we'll find another collection that goes with it. Maybe bring a different, like, new element to it. Alright, so there's that. Let's go ahead and get our big piece of paper here. Cover up this spot that's been driving me insane. We're gonna be 5 1/4 again at 7 1/2. You can cut an 1/8 inch shorter than that. And because we're on the next page, I'm not going to use any of the drops because, or drops, scraps. I call them drops because I work in manufacturing. I'm not going to use any of the stuff that I've already used, the leftover sheets, because I just used here, so I know if I use a new one, I won't be getting similar stuff next to each other. And I can always use the other side of it too. So there is that. Okay, so 5 1/4 by 7 1/2. I'm going to cut down to 5 1/8. And I only need 2. So I think I'll just use the other side of this. Oh, I got another dog. What do they want? So I think I'll do this one on this one. I think I need tape. Like all the dogs. Well, Nova's been in here, as you know, but all the dogs just like came back to see what was happening. It's funny. Like one comes back like, hey, where'd mommy go? And then 5 minutes later, the other one's like, hey, you know, he went back there and never came back. Where did he go? Am I missing something? Funny, funny. You just want to make sure that you don't go over your hinges. Oh, flop, flop, flop. Okay. Because if you go over your hinges or any of your bends here, these won't close. And with the buildup that I'm seeing is happening here, I mean, it'll still close, but I may want to go ahead and put like closure on there. We'll find out. We'll look at it in just a second. We'll see how this one does. I'm going to say like after this page, we're pretty much halfway done because we did basically all the backs. There's still some matting that we have to do when, you know, we get done using all our big pieces of paper. But I'm going to say we're about halfway done. My other goal, I need to move it a little over so I don't, is to use every piece of paper in this collection. Yeah, so with the build of the thickness, because I didn't make like a hinge here, like a 1/16 of an inch or anything, it's, especially once we add the paper to the back sides of these, it's going to bulk up a little bit. We'll look at it when it's done. We'll see if we want to bother to add a magnet. It would be super simple to add a magnet. And speaking of, let's just go ahead and do that, because these basic gray magnets, Crystal's still selling these. So they're super simple to use. Let's go ahead and stick them on there. One has a plus, one has a minus. They already have adhesive on them. If you can get the little, if you can get the little adhesive thingies off without taking the adhesive off. But I always add a little extra bit too. Mat it. Okay, so get my 6x6s back out. I think I'm ready to use peacock feathers. Guess I don't have a small version of that other girl. I'll use that. It's not my favorite, and I don't want to use it with that. These are how wide? 4.5. Let me see if I have any scraps I can use. These would be crooked. These are not wide enough. Okay, this one's a go. We can use that. This one's okay. I do want to use this one. Oh, so maybe I don't need these. And then, look here. Definitely can use the other side of that. That may be all I can pull from. Alright, so this will be enough for this one. Okay, so make sure they're both 4.5. 4.5 by 6, right? Yes. So, we're going to cut at 4 3/8 by 5 7/8. Now, definitely that side, this side. I want this one on top. I don't want these two together because they are way too similar. Unless I do like that, and then this can go here. Let's do that. Okay. So I'm stub punching these corners. I think the writing's upside down, but I guess I can use it for that side. Is the writing upside down? I don't know. I can't tell. So, there, that's fine. But I don't really, okay, I don't care if the writing's upside down. I can't tell anyways. And then these two here. If I have to concentrate that hard to see if the writing's upside down, I don't think anybody's going to notice when they flip through, especially if there's pictures on it. Okay, here we go. And I shall glue, tape, adhere. I think it looks lovely. With all these papers that are coming out, you just can't go wrong. I do like the way that kind of looks. Alright, that's all my scraps. All my scraps that are big enough to handle that. Okay. Now, let's go back to the other one here. And I had these two picked out. Double check my measurements before I cut. 4.5, 4.5, 6. Okay. So, these two, and How about, I don't need 2 of those. So I already cut one of these apart. So we'll use that green. And that one. I think I want that one on the outside. And then this one, I want that one behind it, or is that too much? Maybe too much. Let's go with this solid green. Paper sale's almost over, you guys. The new graphic 45 should be coming in soon too. So be sure you head over and get take full advantage of the paper sale both now and when that new graphic 45 comes out. The farm, like, I don't know what it's called, but it's like farm. I'm up in the air about it. Like, I don't know if I want it. I do want it, and don't get me wrong. I don't know if I'll use it. I always want it. I'm up. I just don't know if I'm gonna get it yet. Do I want it? Yes. Should I get it? Maybe. I have a lot of paper yet to use here. Okay, so I think I'll use this side and this side. Be sure you guys share your creations on Crystal's Facebook page. Artistic Studio Creations. There are some super nice people on there. And we do live videos every Thursday. Crystal does. I'm just there Thursdays at 11. And I think for all you people that work during the day and can't make it, she's doing a Wednesday night at 7, I believe. So that's cool. I come late on Thursdays because I'm at work, but my lunch starts at 11:30. And she has giveaways and all sorts of stuff all the time. Not all the time, but a lot. More so than I've ever seen. There you go. Alright, about halfway done, guys. I feel like I put this upside down. Oh well. I mean, whatever. Okay. Let's let's see if I have some two more pages left. What should we do with them? And first we're covering the largest pages. But before I continue decorating this part completely, I want to go ahead and get some paper on other pages, because if I do introduce another collection in here, I want it like intermittent. I don't want it all in one place. So we're just going to leave some spots blank. I left the smaller spots blank because you can use your leftovers. And let's do, see, I got a magnetic closure double here. Half of the backs have flaps. I have a pocket here. So let's do a double pocket, because those are fun. So for a double pocket, what you want is some smaller pieces. Is that really what I want to do? Because I have pockets on the back too. I wish I would have mounted that already, or matted that already. Okay, let's see. Do I want to do a double pocket? Maybe a belly band. Let's see. I do like the flaps more than I like the pockets, just because you pull stuff out. Pulling stuff in and out is not always ideal, whereas just flipping it, that can be double pocket. The reason being is because I have a flap here if I start putting flaps on every page. So we're going to do, this is a 5 1/4, so we're going to do a 6 1/4. We're going to do 2 pages the same, so we're going to get 2 of these at 6 1/4, and I want some smaller strips at 6 1/4 also. So you want to look to see how big they stack up, because I use these two. You're going to cover the whole entire page. How about I use these two? Okay, so we're going to cut 4-piece strips at 6 1/4. These are 3.5 inches long. So I'll do 2 at a time. Okay, and then the bottom pocket we're going to do glue at the bottom, and then the second pocket we'll do a where you can have a bigger tag go all the way down in, I think. And we're just going to let it go straight across, not do, we're not going to stub punch. If you guys like the stub punch that I have, Crystal has 4 left, I think, on ASC, and it is a scallop on one, or a stub on one end and a scallop on the other. So it's not exactly the same because the This one's called Deco on the other end, but the stub, which is the one I'm using in this one, is the same. Okay, and I'm just scoring a 1/2 inch on each side. And because these are scored, you can mat after you put these on. Now the trick to this one is that you have to cut the top pocket at an angle so that it slides down into the bottom pocket. So you can either measure this or kind of eyeball it. So go ahead and put the bottom pocket on. I'm just going to glue it all the way around since I have to glue the bottom anyways. And this lines up with this side and the bottom. Okay, and then what I'm talking about is that however far you want this to go down into this pocket is how far you're going to cut it. Now, even if I go pretty far down in there, it's not going to leave a whole lot of room. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's my pocket, and here's the end of the page. So I only have a 1/2 inch at the top. I'm going to cut these in half, or just one of them. So they are 3 1/2. I'm going to cut them at 2 3/4, or 2 1/4. 1 3/4. That's what I meant to say. 1 3/4. Okay. Now that ought to do us better. And what I'm just going to cut basically from like a 90-degree from that gusset tip, like the gusset here, to the end. Okay, and do the same over here, just like a 90-degree. And that means that's going to sink down about a 1/2 inch, right? Do the same on this side. Okay. And then on this one, you just do the sides, whoops, if you want your pocket to go all the way through. That means that it can be long. If you want it to end right here and just have a small pocket, then you glue on the bottom. And then you just slide this paper right into the pocket. Straighten it out. And I have a corner here that it's too high because this is straight. It's okay because we're going to mat it. Okay. I usually take my ruler and just make sure nothing's, that looks good. Make sure nothing's stuck together there. Okay, we're going to do the same with skip page, this one. I'm going to do sides, bottom, And this one, remember, is 3.5 inches wide. Line it up with the bottom and this side. And then this one's just the sides if you want it to go all the way through. Oh, clean that off. Okay, and then you slide this into that bottom pocket. Just make sure it's straight. More important to be straight than to be slid down in. Okay, super simple, double pocket. I'm not going to mat this page yet. Let's go ahead and do our last design, which I think we're going to do like a belly band, maybe a slider belly band kind of deal. Okay, so let's do a belly band. I think I'm going to take this piece of cardstock that we already cut. Or maybe I should do like a wide belly band. What do you think? We can do... Yeah, I have another one of these. Let's do that. Let's do a real thick belly band like this. So I'm going to do this one at 6 1/4. This is 3.5, and that one's already cut at 6 1/4. Is it 6 1/4? And then I'm going to score. Now on this one, let's do also a, we'll make it like a slide in belly band, so that'll be fun. So what I'll do is, these should be 5 1/4. Actually, these should also be 5 1/4. They're not quite long enough. Let's see how big these are. That'll be perfect. Okay, I'm going to cut this one at 5 1/4 twice. And this one should measure 4.5. Make sure. Yep. 5 1/4 by 4.5 on this one. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put this down so it dries. And you can mat the back first if you want. I'm going to do the band first because you can slide the paper under it if you do it this way. Watch the globs of glue on the sides. And always line it up with this side here, and I'm just centering it. That one maybe. It's got some turn to the last page and do the same. Just the sides. There we go. And then these two fat ones that I cut at the same length, they are going to be scored on the 1/2 inch on the short side. So 1/2 inch and 4 inches. And I'm going to punch this on either side. So as we learned, I'm going to punch it with the decorative punch, this one. And as we learned with the pockets, it's easier to do that before, or mat it first, and punch it before we glue it on, right? Because the other way, it's possible, but it's just not as easy. I'm just going to line it up, and that looks good. So it should be 3.5 by 4.25. Double check my measurements. 3.5 by 5.25. That's why I do that. And let's do, I have these scraps here. Let's do these two. 3.5. That's like actually perfect that way, so I'm just going to cut it a little short of 3.5. So that's going to be about, what, 3 3/8? Make sure that works. Yes. So, I was wondering if you guys had any, like, mini album makers or scrapbookers that inspire you. I was watching Scrap Queen. She has a million tutorials, and I love her accent. She doesn't, I don't know if you can say that you love somebody's accent, because to them, they don't have an accent, right? But she's not American. She's, I can't think of where she is from. I don't think it's Norway, but it may be Norway. But anyways, love her. She's fun. And that's crooked. And yeah, she does all sorts of cool things. She does this like bodice, it's not, oh, what do you call it when you, a corset lace on her mini albums, and I'm just trying to figure out how in the world she does it. So that is a bit, I cut that crooked, but deal, right? Just deal. Or maybe, actually, I may have folded it crooked. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's folded crooked. I see the, line, the score line. Let's see if I can get him to go back to where he's supposed to be. Did you know that paper stretches? That's why sometimes your score lines aren't straight. Well, sometimes they're not straight because I cut them crooked, or I just do it crooked, but sometimes it, when I'm folding the paper, it stretches and goes to one side. It's not always what you've, that you scored incorrectly. I don't know if I told you guys last time too, but this paper that I'm using, and the paper sale goes on until the end of the month. The Doris paper that I'm using for the base, the black, I found in Crystal's store for less than $3. And what I'm doing here is I'm just lining it up in the middle, just eyeballing it, but then I'm using these little points are in the middle, and I'm using that to line up the middle. And that is much easier than the way we did the small pockets. So Granted, there's not like a black outline under it, but it's totally not worth it. We're going to slide something in there anyways. Okay. So that is just going on top of the band. Now you can slide papers this way and slide a tag in that way. And then I think I'm going to take one of these possibly after I mat the page, and I can use that as a stopper for whatever we put in there. So we'll see. Let's do this one while that one dries. There we go. There it is. Okay, there we go. So we'll let that dry, and then we'll finish decorating. We may add some more. Oops, that needs to be. So we may add some more stuff to it. It's not hitting that. There we go. Okay, so out of the 20 pieces of paper, the 12 by 12s that I started with, I took and cut 8 5x7 cards using the last 3 sheets. So I also have some 3.5 by 4s for these small pockets that were from scraps, and then I have, I think these are 7 by 4s, 7 by 4.5s, which were also from scraps. So that leaves me with these for the large tags. I'm setting these aside. The tags or mats or whatever you want to call them are the last thing that we're going to mat with the paper, because if they don't get matted, it's not a big deal. And you can also like collage them together. I also have just a lot of long narrow strips, which we can always use to make pockets or flaps if we want to add some. So those are all like the long narrow ones. And then these would be eligible to make pockets, tags, flaps, almost anything. So I kind of separate these, put them in piles so I know about what I have. We have lots of pockets to fill, so no worries about tags. And then these are large pieces that we can do whatever with. Okay, so let's start doing some matting. I'll show you my 12 by 12 papers, what I have left. I have the bonus sheet, which you can use as these for the smaller ones, or we can use them as the cut apart. And if we have any leftovers, those are great for cards. I think some of these are from 6 by 6, but I have a lot of these strips. And there are bigger pieces. Oh, there's some cut aparts. This I probably won't use, but I save it till the end. We can always use these in our pockets. I have 2 full 12 by 12s, and then these long strips that are going in the correct direction to mat, long ways. So really like that one. So that's what we have left of our 12 by 12s and some scraps. And then our 6 by 6s, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 9 of those left. So let's see what we can get through here. See what we can accomplish. I also forgot that I have all these journaling cards that I still have to cut apart. Alrighty then. We'll mat first, then I'll go through and stub punch all the mats at the same time. So let's do some bigger areas first. I think the biggest areas, since you can technically break these down, are going to be the backs of these flaps. So they are 6 1/4 by 5 1/4, and I have 4 of them.